Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Tim Vixay with my crippled friend, and this is episode number 46. And I am still here at the Oscar Mike compound with fresh off the highway, Jeff Combs. He's a repeat guest. I forget, you were probably like number 11 or 12.
I was number 11.
11.
I didn't quite make the top 10.
Top 15's top 12.
Top 15.
That's plenty good. He's a Marine Corps veteran. He is a scuba diver. He's a 3-gunner. He is actually might have some hair that might rival mine.
For now, at
least.
We'll
let the viewers decide on YouTube. But what's going on, dude?
How's it going?
How you just drove up here from St. Louis area?
I did.
Way upside, like northern Illinois. Is this your first time out in this area?
I've been to Chicago one time, but it was for a day or two and turned around and went back.
Yeah.
So this is my first time actually coming to actually hang out.
Yeah, this is like rural Illinois. Because when I tell people where I'm at, like sometimes I'll tell them Chicago, but this ain't really Chicago.
It's like me telling people I'm from St. Louis. I'm not really from St. Louis.
Yeah, and that's like me telling people I'm from Portland.
Right.
But I'm kind of outside of Portland.
Right.
And so, yeah, I don't even consider this Chicago. Now when people ask me, I just tell them, I have to tell them Illinois.
Yeah.
Just because this is all cornfields and it started snowing all of a sudden.
Yeah. Halfway up, it turned from rain to snow.
Yeah, we were doing pretty good. How was that drive? Because that's what, like about a 4.5?
It was actually 5 hours and 9 minutes.
Yeah. A lot of pee breaks or.
Yeah. No, I'm usually pretty good. I stopped right before I got here. I can do 4 to 6 hours, no problem.
Oh, really?
If I really need to push it, I can do a little bit more, but I have to intentionally dehydrate myself.
Yeah.
Like when I went to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
Sorry, Hawaii.
Hawaii.
When I went there, it was a 6-hour flight, but you figure you get on 30 minutes before, you're on 30 minutes after. I was able to do that. I literally went to the bathroom and rolled onto the plane and then rolled off the plane and went straight to the bathroom.
Yeah. On a 6-hour, I'll usually take a piss midway.
Yeah. So walk me through how do you go about doing that? Because I've not been on a flight yet that I have to do that, but I do have plans to eventually.
You've been hurt 8 years and you've never taken a piss on a plane?
Yeah. Everywhere. Wow. I'm in the middle of the country. Everywhere I go is 3.5 hours.
Yeah, but like you, I mean, the last podcast we did, we were in Bon Air.
Yeah.
And that was what, a 6-hour flight from Houston?
No, about 4. I didn't fly. I flew from Orlando. From Orlando, it was just over 4.
Okay.
Yeah, no, the Hawaii flight.
No, so when I fly, normally what I try to do is I try to get a window seat.
Oh yeah, must.
Yeah. And then if I gotta piss, I'm almost always wearing a hoodie on the plane.
Okay.
And on a long overseas flight, I'll have a small airline blanket stuffed into my backpack that I'll pull out. But either way, what I'll do is when I gotta piss, I always travel with some empty bottles, and I got my small little backpack with me,
right?
And that's got all my catheters and my lube, my hand sanitizer. I'll throw my headphones in there. I'll throw a Cliff Bar, some snacks, my wallet and shit like that. It's just my little small travel backpack that I can sling onto my armrest on the back of my chair. And so what I do when I gotta piss is if I had my blanket or my hoodie, like for this instance, let's just say I had my hoodie. I'll put a sleeve in the arm, the tray, the seat back tray, and I'll close it off so that way it's kind of holding the sleeve of that sweater.
Okay.
And then I'll throw the hood on, and I'll kind of what I call pitch a tent.
Okay.
So I kind of pitch like a little lean-to, like half shelter.
Okay.
Or just kind of like a curtain. And if it's a blanket, I can do it a lot easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I just whip my little thing out and piss into the bottle, and then I seal everything off and throw it back into my backpack. And
okay.
Usually what I'll do is I'll warn the person next to me, because if I'm flying with some teammates,
right, they already know.
Yeah, they know the deal. But if I'm sitting next to a stranger, I'll usually warn them like, hey, I'm paralyzed and this is about to happen here.
Hey, what's your best story about like traveling and the funniest thing that's ever happened?
Dude, I got two of them. The most recent one, I was flying back from like Houston to Portland, and that's like normally a 4.5-ish hour flight. And I figured I probably wouldn't even have to pee, right? But about an hour away from Portland, I'm like, shit. Like,
so you can feel it?
Yeah. Okay. I was like, damn, I'm gonna cut it close. And it's a lot easier to piss when you're in flight than when people are walking by. Right. Because people are, when they're walking by, they're going to be looking. So, I'm in the window seat, and I look over at the chicken sitting in the aisle, or not in the aisle. It was a 3x3. So it was a chick in the middle, and she had propped up her phone and was watching a movie with some headphones on, but she was also just passed the fuck out. Right. So I'm not going to wake her up and be like, hey, I'm going to piss. I'm like, I'm going to just do this super discreet.
Yeah.
And so I do my thing, pitch my tent, and I start pissing. And all of a sudden I feel a tap on my shoulder.
Like midstream.
Yeah. And I'm like, holding that bottle down. And then I kind of pull my tent open, pull the sweater over, and I'm like, yeah, excuse me? She's like, this isn't really relevant to the story, but she was a black chick. So she was like, hey, you can do that in the bathroom, right? And I was like, excuse me? She's like, you sitting here playing with yourself, you can go do that in the bathroom, right? And I was like, I'm sorry, ma'am. You were sleeping, but I'm paralyzed and I can't get up. And she goes, oh, I'm sorry, honey. And just popped her headphones back in and just started watching her movie. And I was just like,
that's funny.
Damn, like that just happened. But the best time before that, man, I was on the U.S. developmental team for rugby. And I was coming home from Switzerland with the team. I was all the way in the back of the plane, and the setup was, I think it was 3-4-3, so 4 in the middle. Yeah. And I was in, I guess that'd be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. I was in G, so I was in the middle, but on the right, in the aisle.
Right.
And there was a chick sitting right next to me. And I also had a group over on my right. That side was actually for the flight attendants. So there's actually a curtain, and that's where the flight attendants would go and pass out. Because I guess it was a pretty long flight. I don't even remember how long. Maybe like 7 hours.
Switzerland to, what is it?
I think we went
New
from
Jersey.
I think we went from like Switzerland to like Newark or LaGuardia, like one of those airports. No, you're right. It probably was Newark.
I know Philadelphia is a big hub too.
So, dude, I'm into this flight, and I'm already in it. Like, dude, I'm gonna at least have to piss twice, and I gotta time it where nobody's walking by,
right?
Because I'm gonna obviously block. I have to pitch the tent on one side.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna pitch it next to this chick who, she was probably maybe around my age, maybe a little bit younger, but kind of cute. Well, maybe like a Switzerland 7 or 8, maybe.
I was gonna say Switzerland 7 or 8 is probably like a top tier.
Oh, it's a Jersey 9. Yeah, it's a Jersey 9 for sure. But so we're on this flight, man, and I'm like, shit, first time around, and I give her the warning. I'm like, hey, I'm paralyzed and I'm gonna have to pee on this flight. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pitch a tent and do my thing. And she's like, oh, it's okay, it's no problem, you do that, And I go to like 4 hours in, man. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. Gotta piss. So I tell her, hey, I'm gonna pee. She's like, yeah. No. And I freaking pitch the tent up, get my stuff out, and for whatever reason, man, I freaking dropped the water bottle that I was gonna piss into. So like now I'm trying to like reach down, pick it up, and she knows I'm struggling, and I finally get it. And then, dude, I drop it again. I'm like, what is going on? And she like taps me on the shoulder, and she goes, do you need some help holding it?
Yes.
And dude, I just straight up told her, I was like, man, like we just met like on this 4-hour flight here. Like we just met just this. It's all right. No, I'll be all right. She goes, no. I mean, Zabato. You want me to hold Zabato?
That's funny.
But man, the misadventures you have on planes, it's just.
Yeah. What's your preferred airline to fly?
Man, that's true. Well,
like Southwest is nice because you can roll straight on.
Yep.
But as far as because Southwest doesn't go international, do they?
No,
they do Mexico. They do Mexico now.
Yeah, they're gonna go to Cos now.
Yeah.
No, so Southwest, if you're flying with like a large team, it's definitely the most efficient to bypass the aisle chair that you normally have to get on.
Right.
And you can fit 6 guys in that front row. The guys with the skinnier chairs can get to that second row.
Really, they can fit.
Yeah, I can in my other chair I can get to the second row.
Dude, I'm lucky with this chair if I can get through a fucking 36-inch door.
Oh, right.
Well, yeah. 32-inch door. Not fit, because I got these thumb guards and the rail. So I mean, my wheel is that thick.
Yeah.
In my other chair, I can get through a 30-inch.
So I like having a seat in front of me.
Really?
And the seat back tray is convenient. Even though on the new Southwest they have the trays.
It's not the same though.
Yeah. Yeah. But like outside of that, I've been primarily flying Delta and United.
Okay. Yeah,
and that's just because I got credit cards on both. And,
okay.
You know, that's nice because like I get upgraded.
Okay. And do your points roll over year to year?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, most of the flights are places that I need to get to. The hub, I mean, like Chicago is a United hub.
Okay.
So I'm flying in and out of Chicago from Portland all the time.
Right.
Delta was nice because when I was living in Birmingham, like, you know, you hop over to Atlanta from Birmingham and then over to Portland. But no, I you know, knock on wood, dude, because I know people have had problems with every airline and they knock them and say, I'll never fly United again, or I'll never fly Delta or American.
American's the only one I've had problems with.
American's the only one I've had problems with.
Yeah. Yeah. If that is last resort.
When it comes down to like baggage fees and them trying to charge you more for rugby chairs and
people not understanding medical, trying to make me pay for a medical
exactly.
bag.
Yeah.
But
you know, honestly, other than that, man, I haven't. Dude, I had American one time. I forget where I was. I was coming home from like USA tryouts or something, and they were gonna charge me $200 for my wheel bag, because they were like, well, we can do your rugby chair, but your wheel bag is, you know, another bag. And you know, with my wheel bag, that's where I put all my, you know, I put my duffel bag full of my catheters and my travel shower chair that I bring with me. And like,
that thing will take up a full suitcase if you try to put it in.
And I was like, you're going to charge me $200 for all my medical equipment? And she's like, sorry, like, it's just our policy. Like, we allow the wheelchair we're going to do for free. And I was just like, wow, like, I can't believe you're about to charge, a disabled veteran this much money. And she's like, Oh, you didn't say you were disabled because I showed her. Well, so when she asked me for my ID, I showed her my my military ID because that's usually.
Yeah, but you were still in a wheelchair.
Yeah, no, but she was just straight up like, you didn't say you were disabled, and like I just like backed away, and I looked at the line that was behind me, and I was like,
she thought you were 2 feet 7 inches tall.
I was just like, did anyone else hear that? Like. It's just like, dude, yeah.
That's funny.
But the drive was good, yeah.
Yeah, drive was good. I like I said, I've been to Atlanta a couple times. So I think anything sub 8 hour it's easily doable. I enjoyed.
What's the furthest you drew in?
Orlando.
In one go?
Yeah, I drove to Orlando.
What was
scuba
that,
dove
like
the next day and drove 16.
Okay,
16 one way. I drove down to Orlando overnight into the morning. I scuba dove that afternoon. I slept through the night and drove back the next day. That was terrible. I will pay the money to fly to Orlando from this point on.
I'd just break it up into 2 trips.
Yeah, well, see, like you've got like a real good network of friends all over the place, and I have yet to build that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's when I'm driving, I don't have a buddy's couch I can crash on, which I'm totally fine with doing, but I just don't have friends, in between areas.
You need to get yourself a little teardrop trailer.
Oh, dude, I want one of those. Like, have you seen those converted vans or like the delivery SUVs where you can put like a full bed in?
That's when I get back home to Oregon next month, hopefully, after this whole Corona thing blows over, but I'm looking at getting a full size van that I throw a bed in.
Yeah.
At least can.
Yeah, and because I've got a lot of buddies that have trailers that they go camp for the weekend or something like that. So it would be great to not have to like lift myself up that stairwell.
Yeah.
And have to do all that. So. I've thought about doing that for a while.
Yeah, my plan, man, is I'm gonna just slowly build that van into something that I can just live out of, and then I'm gonna get like a Planet Fitness membership.
Yeah,
and just if when I need a shit and shower, I'm just gonna pop into a 24-hour Planet Fitness or whatever. And
yeah, it's scary because. The only responsibilities I have is Lima Charlie. Outside of that, my responsibilities are basically none. My brother lives with me, so he can take care of my dog anytime that I go someplace long for a while that I know it's like, I don't have to bring the dog with and all that. But yeah, no, I'm worried that once I make that that vehicle, I'm just going to be... I tell my brother all the time, expect a postcard one of these dive trips because it's going to say, hey, send my stuff to this address. I'm not coming back. So.
Yeah, man, no, I totally get that. Like,
I love to go and be on the go.
For me, it's just like, dude, I have 0 responsibilities now. Like, I don't, my parents are taken care of. I don't have a dog. I don't have a kid, a wife, anything to check into, where it's just like there's nothing stopping me from just bouncing and disappearing.
Yeah, that's I feel like this part of my life isn't gonna last that long. At some point, I'm gonna start to gain those responsibilities, whether it's like you said, parents or family or whatever it is. And so it's like I really want to spend. I feel like my 30s to 40s, I really want to spend that traveling and going and doing everything I want to do.
How old are you right now?
I'm 30.
Yeah. Okay.
So I got 10 years. So
dude, so what I did when I turned 30 was I made a list of 40 things that I wanted to do before I turned 40.
40 before 40.
That's exactly what I called it. Yeah, I got it saved on my computer.
Nice.
We can go over it later, but. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like traveling stuff, but then it was also a lot of like personal stuff and things that like you kind of wanted to mend. And things that happen in your 20s that you just didn't want to carry back into your 40s.
Right.
Just kind of tying up loose ends. And,
yeah,
you know, I like working on timelines and deadlines and crunch times. And
dude, yeah, I procrastinate until the absolute very last moment.
Yeah.
Like the Bonaire shirts we did for last year when we went to Bonaire.
Oh, yeah.
My flight was at 6 a.m. I finished printing them at 3 a.m. Like that close.
How's the company been going?
It's good.
Because you're not quite past the year mark?
Yeah, no, April will be 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's good. We've expanded, and we've really gotten heavily into the 3-gun shooting scene.
Yeah.
And so we've been sponsoring a few events, 3-Gun Nation. We're sponsoring, well, depending on the coronavirus, that Mother Nature gets a say in that. But as of right now, we are sponsoring the largest 3-gun competition in Texas. It's the Magpul 3-Gun National Championships.
What month is that in?
It is April 29th to May 3rd.
Okay.
Is the Magpul Texas 3-Gun Championship. Sorry. But
I don't know if they've canceled events out to that far yet.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, I was talking to Hack Albertson, the vice president of the PVA, and they're already. I mean, wheelchair games is when
July.
So, I mean, they're already talking about. I told you how much it's costing them. So they're getting ready. They're at the point that they're deciding if they're going to keep doing it.
Right. I'm sure. So I had a bunch of plans. Trying to think. The latest thing that got canceled for me was April. Well, yeah, we if you don't know, we actually had to cancel the USQRA Nationals. So the trophy, if you're watching this thing on YouTube, the trophy that's sitting behind me is completely unclaimed, and it's pretty dope. And we'll start the bid at like $500.
I like it.
But yeah, well, I don't
have a call in.
I really don't know what we're gonna do with these trophies now. But yeah, we had to cancel nationals, and then I was supposed to go to a UFC in Portland, and that got canceled. So this UFC we're recording this on March 14th. There's gonna be one UFC tonight, and that's gonna be the last
until.
Yeah, well, they're gonna be hosting events at their UFC Apex Center.
Okay.
Is what the last thing that I read.
But will they still be full on UFC events or?
Yeah, they're not gonna have a crowd. They're gonna televise it. So.
Yeah.
Better than nothing. And they've been the big one that everyone's looking at is April 18th, the Khabib Tony Ferguson fight that. Yep. They've been trying to book insane. So is Tony Ferguson. Yeah. And they've been trying to book that fight for the last, I think this is like the 5th or 6th time they've tried to book it. Somebody gets injured, something happens.
You taking in Ferguson then?
You got to root for the American. And the crazy thing is, like, Tony Ferguson loves to fight anywhere, especially off of his back. And that's where Khabib likes to put you. Yeah. He likes to just fucking wrestle you down and just fuck your world up while you're on your back. And that's that's almost Tony Ferguson's wheelhouse. I want to say he's got like 4 or 5 submissions.
But see, this could be an event where I see Khabib coming in and throwing something totally different at him that's not the traditional ground and pound, wear you down. Like, I'm going to stand up the whole time.
But see, like, Tony would love it. Like, he's so fluid. If you Google Tony Ferguson's last 9 opponents, it looks like they've all been thrown off of fucking trains. He just brutalizes motherfuckers.
Sounds like we need to get together then during this fight. And
April 18th, if it still happens, and if the fucking world is still here.
Right. Yeah, everybody's going to be dead by then.
Yeah. This whole scare has really kind of just thrown a wrench into a lot of things.
Yeah.
Where it's like yesterday, like Noah and I went out shopping for a bunch of canned food, and we were just like, shit, like, is it really coming down? I saw the load of
Top Ramen in there.
Yeah, we got Top Ramen, we got beef ravioli.
Taking it back to
we
the
got
Barracks
beans.
PFC days.
Yeah, we got four MREs in the garage. So yeah. I don't know, man. We'll see. Hopefully this whole thing just blows over.
I hope so. Like I said, I mean, we're doing that event in the end of April.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, like, cause I mean, I've already got the shirts. Like, I'm getting ready to start printing them.
Now, describe to the folks that don't know, like, what exactly is 3-gun competitions?
So it's exactly what it sounds like. It's 3 guns. It's an AR platform rifle, not necessarily a 5.56, but usually
a semi-automatic rifle.
Right, a semi-automatic rifle, an assault rifle, if you will. So it's
how many AR-14s?
Yeah, AR-10s. Yeah. So it's a 3-gun competition. ARs, shotguns, and pistols is the format, and Lima Charlie is founding and sponsoring an event that we are calling Battle Buddy 3-Gun. And as far as we're aware, it's one of the first competitions of its kind. It's a 3-gun style, shooting those 3 weapons, but we are specifically tailoring it to people in wheelchairs. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to have different stages where we've got 3 styles of stages. Is one where you would run the event by yourself, and then you have your battle buddy. And once you finish running the event, you come back, you change over your chair, and your buddy runs the event. And then you take those 2 combined scores, and that's your time for that stage. Style 2 is going to be a tag team event where I'm going to run the stage, and as soon as I'm finished, I turn around and haul back to the starting line as fast as I can, tag my buddy's hand, and he runs it able-bodied. So it's the same course of fire. I'm just running it in my chair. He's running it able-bodied. The third is going to be a tag team event where we're in that grit chair like I was telling you about. And so they've got those big push bars. And so we're going to be in an event where it's off-road enough that we need somebody to push and guide us.
Yeah.
And we will be shooting on the move with shotguns. And then we'll put that into our barrel, and we'll continue on. And there will be spots where the person that's in the chair gets pushed over this way, and then I have a course of fire of targets I engage, and then the able-bodied runs from pushing me over to this side of the trail. They shoot their stage, they come back, pick me up, and we keep going. So we've got three different types of stages that we're going to run. And we're looking to put on a minimum of 6 stages, so you would get to do each stage twice, possibly up to 8. We've got a location in South Carolina that we're going to be doing it, and the first event is going to be October 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. We're going to do 20 wheelchair veterans that are going to be doing it. And then we're also going to hold a traditional, just able-bodied event at the end. But we're trying to run Battle Buddy 3-Gun as a nonprofit, and all of the proceeds of this first event are going to be donated to the PVA.
Right.
Hack Albertson, the vice president of the PVA, is one of the 5 Marines that's involved in the setting up of this.
How many guys out there do you think are doing stuff like this?
None that I've found.
Yeah.
You can find trap and skeet competitions, whether it's through the NRA or different veteran or they have some civilian. NRA puts some events on, but it's all stationary trap and skeet shoots.
Yeah.
And that's not what we want to do. We want to do something that is you have to push, you have to work, you have to.
I feel like 3-Gun's really gotten popular, especially because like the John Wick movies. But even before that,
yeah,
I'd say I don't know, maybe like 8-10 years ago, three gun just really exploded.
Yep, that's when the explosion of the sport really happened. I didn't really catch wind of it until about last year, and so Lima Charlie sponsored Three Gun Nation's national event, and we did all the shirts for them. And one of the things that the sponsorship included is some shooter slots that you can send guys. With Lima Charlie not having really anybody that could shoot in that style event. Yeah. We were like, okay, well, let's open it up, put it on social media that we've got a few slots available. And so we did. And one of the guys that submitted, we had talked to was interested, but after he tried to figure out scheduling and all that, it didn't work, that he wasn't going to be able to make it. That guy turns out to be the guy that runs the Texas Three Gun Championship. Yeah. And so that's how we ended up with that. We just kind of had communication. They reached out to us, said, "Hey, we're putting on this event. Would you be interested in sponsoring it?" And so now the Magpul Texas Three Gun Championship is going to be the second three gun event that Lima Charlie is sponsoring.
That's so dope.
So yeah, we're pretty lucky. We're in the brands of Vortex Optics, Keltec Rifles, JP Enterprise. Yeah. So I mean, we're excited about the possible opportunities that this leads to. So
yeah, where do you see it going?
What's that? Battle Buddy 3-gun?
Yeah, like are you hoping for an actual, like a 3-gun league?
Yeah, that would be, I think that would be ideal. So within the first 12 hours of us posting the first video of myself and Hack going through a couple stages, within 12 hours, we had 6 Paralyzed Veterans of America chapter presidents reach out to us and ask us if they could, if we could come and put on an expo, a demo at their location, so that they could bring their vets to the organization and get exposed to the different types of event that this is. Because we really want this event to be for very very similar to the Oscar Mike on the move. We're trying to engage veterans. And especially with the Battle Buddy theme, we really want to promote. We want to promote team building in this, and so we haven't figured out if it would be better to have signups as like you've got an able-bodied buddy that wants to shoot 3-gun. You like to shoot 3-gun. You guys pair up and partner up and go, or if it should just be a random draw where like we give 20 sponsorship slots. So all of the sponsors each get 2 slots, and their shooters are the ones that shoot with the disabled guys. So we're still trying to fine tune exactly how we're going to run that. But it's exciting. We've had real good. Well,
that would almost be more like you would definitely have to build a more bond, because if you had a different, obviously I'd be one of the disabled shooters, but having to work with a different AB every time, like I would have to learn how to communicate my needs to him. Yeah, so and then he would have to make sure that like
so part of what we're gonna do is during day 1 of registration, we're gonna have a couple 2-hour-ish time blocks where the disabled shooters and their able-bodied shooters get together and they partner up.
Yeah, and they're doing trials.
And you spend a few hours running through, just because, anytime you're dealing with
even
firearms.
just dry firing.
Yeah, even dry
runs.
Anytime you're dealing with firearms, safety is by far the most important. And so we're going to have an event where, we might not know all of the disabled shooters that are coming. And so we're going to have this time block where at the end of it you have to get your RSO's signature saying that you can safely handle a firearm and all that. And so that way it's not just anybody can come out and pick up a gun and just do whatever they want. We're really trying to take the safety piece into, and having myself, guys that are in wheelchairs, figuring out what we can and can't do and all that. It has really helped. We even, like I said, one of the events is going to be the able-bodied shooters having to shoot from a wheelchair. So that's,
you don't want guys tipping out over their chairs.
Yeah.
Pulling the trigger and then flipping out,
Yeah, we've already had one of our range officers, first time he got in the chair, flip that bad boy.
Yeah.
And so, so we're trying to make a safe event, but a fun event, something that, you're not just stationary, you're getting to shoot and move and a little bit more.
Yeah.
I don't want to say real world, but, it's a little bit more action.
Well, it's just different.
Yeah.
Because you're combining movement.
Yeah, and
with different angles,
and you're combining the fire team, the buddy system.
But we will say, it's a little bit more real world scenario, or at least a scenario in the real world that maybe you should be practicing for.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. This coronavirus might end the world. We need to be able to buddy team rush with guys in wheelchairs. Well,
dude, that's one of the big things that Noah and I have been pretty concerned about around this place. We're just like, man, so here's my plan. When shit like this ever happened, my plan was always to just stay mobile, because hunkering down in one spot is just not feasible right now. Maybe in a couple different evolutions, and once things kind of fold a couple times, then yeah. But in the initial stages, it's going to be, if we're really talking about, this is a scenario where we run out of fuel delivery. Everyone's scared to go to work, so utilities are getting shut off, and stores are getting raided, and it's becoming a straight up madhouse. My plan was to always just stay on the move, live off the land, and just stay away from any civilization and population center.
Yeah.
It sucks because in a wheelchair, that makes it very
more difficult.
Very difficult to do.
There better not be a curb.
So we're talking about hunkering down here, and we got water stocked up, and we got food stocked up. And
like I was saying, until the electrical grid goes down, right now my place is fully functioning. So solar panels, like I said, are probably in the near future to get put on, because at that point, we're off the grid completely.
Have you ever thought about just a generator? Propane generator and throw
So the only ones that I've seen that I've thought about were either gas or some kind of diesel powered generator. But the problem is that chances are, if you're losing electric, if you're losing the electric grid, you're probably not going to be having any more accessible fuel. So it's one of those things. The sun's gonna rise and the sun's gonna set every day.
Yeah.
So if you can get electric, I've just got my well. I mean, we would even be living comfortably. All the AC, all the heat would be run off of it. So it's one of those things that kind of got to make the decision now if this is the long-term location that we want to be at, or if we want a little bit bigger piece of property and doing all that. But I mean, like we talked about, I'd even be down for going to Texas and putting together a place like that.
Texas might be a good spot. You gotta look it back. Where were folks living in the 1800s? You had folks living in Texas. You had folks living in Oregon. You had folks living everywhere. I think humans are one of the most adaptable creatures.
Oh, yeah.
And it just comes down to what comforts are you willing to sacrifice?
Yeah.
And I know there's certainly challenges in a chair, but one thing this coronavirus thing has taught me is just you need to prepare for shit like this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, I don't know how many of the listeners have ever had like their power go out, but when you're in a chair and like, let's say you rely on the power system charging your power chair or your power assist wheels or whatever it is, you know, your Hoyer, your adjustable bed or whatever, like you need to have a contingency plan.
Right.
And like, if you have it within your means, like you need to get a generator and keep fuel on stock. And then even like making sure you have extra medical supplies and you're not just living by your medical supplies day to day. Even if that means like, hey, you're you know, calm the system for like 5 more catheters a month. Right. And then just create your own stockpile. Yeah. And it's just like,
that's one thing I've always thought about is like my medication, like with my nerve pain medications, like crap, what do I do? Yeah. Because, you know
what the craziest thing is, man? I think there was some I heard, and it was like up to 87% of our pharmaceuticals, especially from the VA, comes from China.
Really?
Yeah. And it makes you wonder, man, like when the saying that I always heard growing up was when China gets the cold, Australia gets the flu. And what I mean by that is like we're so globally connected to everything, right, that we need to make sure we're taking care of people on the other side of the earth. Like we can't just be like, hey, they look different than us. They believe in something different than us. Like, fuck them.
Well, yeah, and I think that's the people that are getting outraged by the travel ban. I'm like, well, if you think about it, like it's making things safer. Like, so what? Your vacation, you know, got postponed.
Oh, dude, I had 2 vacations get postponed.
Yeah, like it sucks, but at the same time, it's like it's probably the smarter thing, the wiser.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially like you were saying, guys like us, like our immune systems aren't what the typical AB has.
Dude, I'll tell you this, man. I've been here since before this whole thing got blown up and that whole aftermath after, and just being here while Noah was on, conference calls with the USQRA and the city of Rockford and all the medical experts in this area, and just deciding like, hey, like, do we need to cancel this? Right. And like I'll defend his decisions. Like I think we made the right call.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, dude, like even if this was, let's just pretend this corona thing is all out of proportion and it's not as deadly as they say it is. The way that we've handled it has just been horrible. Right. When people are running out of toilet paper at the grocery stores and you can't even stock up on hand sanitizers, medical facilities can't get the right respirators.
That's like I always watch that Preppers show. Yeah. Like everybody makes fun of these guys until it happens. Yeah. And then they look like the smartest people out there. Yeah. So I by no means am going full bore crazy like some of these guys do, but I think you're right. I think especially for us needing medical supplies and equipment, it's smart. You got to think about, okay, what happens if I run out of catheters? What do I do? Well, how do I clean them? Can I clean them and reuse them? It's little things like that. The proper prior planning, as we always say. If you're early, you're on time. If you're on time, you're late. If you're late, don't even bother showing up. It's one of those things. It applies to this very well. And I think it's one of those things that having the Marine Corps training, that Marine Corps background really helps guys like us, both in chairs, but just in general, the mentality of, okay, improvise, adapt, and overcome. How are we going to get this solved, and planning ahead. Yeah.
It's always kind of like having a contingency plan. Mm-hmm. and everybody's got a plan until they get hit in the mouth. So
right.
have a plan B because plan A is not going to work.
Right.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's hopefully how we've kind of handled the situation here. It was just like, okay, it's smart. Let's stock up on some food.
Yeah.
Let's not hoard all the toilet paper and all the hand sanitizer. And it's just like,
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think the next few weeks will really tell us how dangerous this thing's going to be.
Weeks. I'm probably not going to publish this for another couple days, but hopefully when I do, we're still here because for me, man, everything changes day by day, and
Have you what kind of precautions have you taken in traveling back to Oregon?
Well,
what's some stuff that's gone through your mind?
In April, we were supposed to go to Southeast Asia because my brother he's graduating early. He's finishing his master's online now.
Okay.
Because school's closed. This is back in Oregon.
Okay.
And then with me, like, we canceled nationals, so there's really no reason for me to stick around, except for the fact that there hasn't been any cases of coronavirus in this area. Where if I were to go back home, I think there's like 8 within my metro area. So it's like, am I better off just hunkering down here?
Give it a couple weeks here.
Maybe, today was no good sign because there's snow on the grass now.
Yeah.
But, when things start getting warmer, because we're only like a week away from spring.
Right.
So it's like, once things start getting warmer, maybe this will go away. It's not really guaranteed, but sometimes that happens.
Yeah, I mean, so I haven't had any travel plans, and honestly, with the exception of like going to Walmart, I haven't really had.
Yeah.
I haven't had. It's not impacted me at all.
Last night we were supposed to go see Andrew Santino in Chicago. I don't know what the capacity is or how many tickets they sold, but they ended up canceling the show.
Oh, really?
That was a huge bummer, but I get it. Like, no large gatherings. Just try to avoid people. Don't fucking cough on anyone.
Yeah.
But no, I've been in the store at least 2 times in the last 4 days. Everything seems fine up here in rural Illinois. But like back home, I mean, Costco's and all those, those big stores they were getting emptied. Yeah. People were fighting over toilet paper, and it's just like, what are we doing? Well, the sad part, man, was like there were people that were like going to Walmart and buying all the milk.
Really?
Like literally filling up like 8 shopping carts.
Like the
full
milk's gonna last 2
gallons
weeks.
of
What
milk.
are you gonna do?
Well, there were folks that there's one dude. I think he's sitting on like $120,000 worth of hand sanitizer that he can't offload. There was a fucking couple in
because he's just waiting for things to get worse and then gonna sell it.
He's just trying to just gouge it right now. That's what you remember during all the school shootings when like 22 ammo was really hard to find.
Yeah.
Same thing, man. There's just people that are gouging the shit out of toilet paper, hand sanitizer, Lysol wipes. There was a couple in Vancouver, Washington, that just cleared out a Costco, and they were selling that shit on Amazon for like 4 times as much. It's just like,
I'm all for the capitalist, environment and the entrepreneurship, but come on, like at the risk or the safety of other people, money's not worth it. It's really not.
Is that what it really boils down to? Is just they're realizing,
are you a decent human being?
Well, they're realizing, hey, there's a need in the market,
right?
And I am going to be an opportunist, and fuck over my fellow.
Yeah, because it's the people. I mean, those people, they're going to sell it to the people around them. So they're going to sell it to their neighbors.
Now, let me ask you this, man. Like, is that a microcosm to what, like, Wall Street and the politicians have done to us?
Oh, we're going deep now.
I'm just saying.
No, I think you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I mean, when we've got a politician that's running for president that's been in office since the 70s.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, how many people have a job for, 50 years? Like, at some point, we got to get some fresh blood in there and get people a little bit more in touch with reality.
Yeah, but on the contrary, when you have a reality TV star as a president,
I'm not saying that it's the perfect solution
during a global pandemic.
Right.
And I mean, let's just bring this back to the corona thing. Do you think our cases of the infected are actually a lot higher, and that's why they haven't been testing people?
I mean,
it's going to hurt their numbers.
I want to say no. I would hope that even though they're trying, there's an organization trying.
Best case scenario would be and having good faith in the government would be
yeah.
But dude, I'm telling you this, on either side of the fence,
there's no more impartial news, impartial feelings.
Yeah.
There's I was listening to one of your podcasts and they were talking about how you were saying how there aren't conversations being had.
Yeah.
It's you're either all the way to one side or all the way to the other.
You know what's amazing is how many fucking public health experts I knew on social media until this thing happened. I had no idea. But all of a sudden everybody's an expert.
Yeah.
And everybody knows this and everybody knows that. And it's just like, can we just shut the fuck up for a moment?
Yeah.
And just listen to what the actual experts that have studied this scenario.
Yeah, but see, they read that Facebook post 3 hours ago, so they know it all.
Yeah, right. No, that's what I'm saying. It's just like I described the 2016 election as the meme war.
Oh.
And it just seems like we've been in a giant meme war because
nobody
reads the newspaper. Nobody researches anything anymore. And it's just so convenient to get what you need to know from a picture with less than 20 words.
I mean, and if you talk to the Trump campaign, that's what they did. They were all about social media marketing, and memes falls under that category. I mean, it's definitely people they'll wake up 15 minutes early so they can scroll for 15 minutes in the morning.
Yeah.
Rather than listening to the news, because if you're listening to the news, it's ridiculous. It's you're all the way to one side or you're all the way to the other. There's nothing giving you the just facts of the case. They tell you what's going on, but they tell it in a way that they're giving you their opinion.
And a lot of that does have to do with the news just trying to survive in today's world.
Right.
Because they have to fucking get you.
They have to grab your attention.
Yeah, exactly. They have to bring your eyeballs to here so they can sell advertising dollars. Right. And it sucks that it's come down to that, but when you follow the dollar, that's when you'll find the root of evil. Yeah. And it's just like anytime that you hear about some corrupt shit going on, man, it's just like, oh, just follow the fucking dollar. Yeah. That's where it's at. Like, can I make money off of it? Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Like, why hasn't fucking marijuana been legalized?
So, Beetle Bailey, you had him on here at one point.
Yeah, he's like number 21.
Yeah, he made a comment to me. He said, we are in the prohibition era of marijuana. Yeah. And I thought about it for a while. I was like, you know what? We really are. At some point, we're going to realize that, okay, it's not a yes, it can be used for recreational purposes, but so can any other kind of medication. I mean, what that does.
Doesn't alcohol exist off of recreational?
Yeah. And
is there any medicinal value to alcohol?
What is your inclination? What is it you want to do when you drink? You want to go out and you want to keep going and you want to go hard. And when you smoke, I'm just gonna chill.
Most of the time, but yeah,
I'm just gonna chill. You know, I'm hanging out with some buddies. Like, I'm just gonna chill. Like,
nobody has ever like smoked a joint and wanted to fight a guy.
Right. Absolutely. So yeah, no, I agree with that, and that sometimes crosses the line with some of the.
I just think,
right wing,
dude. I think pharmaceutical companies have just been running a campaign to keep
against it. Yeah, because they've got to keep pushing those pills.
I'll tell you right now, man. If I had the money to do it, I would open up a dispensary in Southern Illinois.
Yeah.
Yeah. You think about the location, right? Right across the river from St. Louis. Mm-hmm. Not even a fucking 15-minute drive.
Yeah.
I don't know how many hours that is from Nashville.
4.
Birmingham.
I don't know about Birmingham.
Birmingham to St. Louis is probably about 7 or 8. Okay. Kansas City, Memphis, all those southern states, Louisiana, Louisville, like, because Illinois, they went full rec January 1st. And so
we need to.
You open up a dispensary in Southern Illinois.
We need to get a couple buddies in on this.
You're in driving distance of a lot of those southern states that are just still so stuck in the past. Where hey, marijuana's the devil, and I'm totally with you on that. After we get off of here, we need to have a follow-on conversation about who we can get together to. Well, we got to move fast. I'm publishing this in a couple days, so. We'll make it happen by the end of the week.
Yeah.
But no, man, it's weird. The times that we're in. I'm always just wondering, like,
well, that's like,
when do we return back to like normal?
Yeah.
When you don't have to fucking worry about any of this shit, or have we always been worrying about it?
Dude, I think what needs to happen is the internet needs to crash. That's what it's going to take to return back to normal.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you can, within a few clicks, within a few taps on your phone, be talking to anyone, anywhere in the world, seeing any kind of event.
And normally, like, that would be, like, an awesome thing. If you told 13-year-old you, like, dude, you could go talk to an Australian girl online right now.
Right.
She'd be like, no, but
yeah. It's just exploded within, I mean, really our generation. I kind of feel like, Bill Gates and what's his name for Apple?
Tim Cook,
but the face of Apple, what's his name? The guy that died of cancer.
What was it, dude? Steve Jobs.
They were, about 15 years ahead of us, but that really made for our generation being the first ones to really come up through that whole social media and internet and cell phone texting, Instagram, Snapchat. I mean, it's unreal. I mean, even since starting the company, talking to marketing guys, they're all like, oh yeah, you need to be on TikTok. I'm like, what is TikTok? Like, I have no idea what that is. And they're like, oh, yeah, it's the new Snapchat. And what's Snapchat? Snapchat's the new Instagram. And what's Instagram? The new Facebook. And it's like, geez, things move so fast.
I've never once even downloaded Snapchat, TikTok. I just got Instagram like 4 years ago.
Well, I had a few of these, but I never used. The only time I would use them was I would log on to my Facebook Messenger app, and I would click every single conversation so the little red icon would go away so that I didn't have a million just inbox things. Then I'd go to Snapchat and I'd open everybody's Snapchats and just click my way through, not watching any of them and just clearing it. But then you get a company, and if you're not wanting to pay for advertising, the easiest way to advertise, the cheapest way to advertise is social media. It's
dude, I've learned that about the podcast, and you have to play the game,
right?
And I never had any sort of interest in becoming Instagram famous, because I've seen the wheelchair influencers, and I'm like, I don't want to be any part of that fucking pity party.
Yeah.
And then, no. Like, even through Oscar Mike, like, you gotta fucking market yourself a certain way, and then you get those fucking trolls that are like,
yeah,
hey, why you keep marketing to me? And is your stuff really made in the USA? And oh, look at this Donald Trump apparel. We're like, oh. Damn, we're getting just painted.
Yeah.
And it's just like, no, man. That's I never, honestly, man. When I was in high school, I was pushed towards being a business major. But when I saw this was in 05, 06, I was like, damn, like, eBay's taking off, Amazon's taking off.
Oh yeah.
Things are gonna go. E-commerce is the way of the future.
I don't know how
it really is now.
Well, I mean, I don't know about back home, but at least in St. Louis, if you go into St. Louis County, anywhere in there, and you go to an actual a mall, a brick and mortar mall, it's empty. There's 2, maybe 3 stores in the entire mall.
Yeah.
It's just everything's closed up, because why would you buy option A if you can get option A, B, and C within 2 clicks, and you don't have to leave your couch?
Yep.
Like, I mean, I get it. I understand it. But it's it's a necessary evil. And where it goes from here, I don't know, but I have a feeling it's just going to get faster and more crazy in the next 10 years.
Well, I mean, one of my favorite stores in Portland is Powell's Bookstore.
Okay.
And what I do, just because I personally like to read books on my Kindle, so an electronic book, and if I'm not doing that, then I'm listening to a book on Audible. But if it's a book that I really, really like, and I want to have a physical copy of it, because I like having a bookshelf full of books. Just in case the coronavirus or the zombie apocalypse takes it over. But so I will actually go to this bookstore in Portland called Powell's Bookstore, and it's the largest independent bookstore in the world.
Really?
Yeah, and I'll go and buy a physical copy of that book, because they'll usually have a couple different editions, a couple used copies. So you can get books for fairly cheap, but just to have a physical book, there's just something to be said about that. And
I totally agree.
I was telling Noah was talking to me the other day about like how his memory's all shit. And he's like, dude, like, I'll be on the phone all day and just talking with people and typing notes up and stuff on my computer. But then by the end of the day, man, I just forget about shit. I'm just like, you know what you need to do is like, you need to get a fucking physical pad and get that shit out of the digital sphere,
right? And
get it into an actual physical piece of paper.
I have 2 3x5 and 1 2x3 whiteboards in my office area, and those things are full. Anytime I have an idea, it doesn't matter if I'm on the phone or what, I go and I put a little dash mark and I write it down, because I know that as soon as I have a thought that doesn't pertain to that, it's gone like that. And I can sit there for a day trying to remember what it was. That perks of having a TBI, as you're, I'm sure, well aware of.
I don't, but
really?
I have a bunch of buddies that do. So.
Yeah. So I can be having a conversation with you right now and just mid conversation forget what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. So getting something onto a hard copy really does something. And I actually, you got me turned on to the podcast. Like Handy got you, my Crippled friend, first podcast that I listened to, and it got me hooked. I have to constantly go in though. I have to constantly go in and delete all, because you know how it downloads your whole list of podcasts?
No, I don't.
I don't know when you subscribe, when you subscribe, and it pulls up all those podcasts and downloads it to your phone.
It's probably how it's set on your phone, but yeah.
Well, we can get together then, and you can tell me how not to do this, so then I unsubscribe and resubscribe. Okay. But that being said, yeah, man, you turn me on to podcasts, and especially with Lima Charlie, I still do 95% of the printing. It's in the shop in my house. It's bigger than a garage, but it's not a full on, its own building. But yeah, man, it's great because most podcasts offer either a video or a non-video format, and so I can just get on the regular podcast. Don't have to get on their YouTube channel or anything like that, and I can always see who's updated something, or okay, so and so's got one or two new podcasts. And so I've probably got about 10 different podcasts that I jump around.
That's good, man.
You started it.
I've never actually tallied up how many different ones I've listened to, but I would say it's well above a dozen for sure.
Yeah. So I appreciate the turn to podcast, and we're even talking about producing our own podcast. So
you and Lima Charlie?
Not Lima Charlie. I've got a couple buddies that are big into the MMA scene. Yeah. And there's 3 brothers that all fight that are both very, very talented fighters. Yeah. And talented to the point that they train at their gym for free. I think
you might be able to do a little something with some 3-gun.
Yeah, so that's 3-gun's brand new, man. So I told you a couple of weeks ago, I was driving back from South Carolina. That was our first get together. And you had asked about what my vision or what I hoped 3-gun would be. I would love if, even any type of 3-gun match, or even the tactical games, none of them offer them in a team format. So I would love for this to grow beyond just disability ability. I would love for this to get to the point that guys are wanting to have they're forming teams where it's a battle buddy pair or it's a fire team pair, and we go out and we shoot 3-gun format, but we shoot it in a team environment.
Well, because that would be the next evolution, right? In 3-gun, because when we go to shoot houses in the Marine Corps, and then especially when you get into, and I really am not qualified to speak about this, but when you get into special operations and the JSOC side of things, and when they go to the shoot houses, it's all team based, and they're rocking and rolling with 4-man team elements, 8-man team elements. So yeah, I would imagine that would be the next evolution in 3-gunning would be multiple shooters.
So we'll see what happens with it. Like I said, Lima Charlie was kind of my baby starting off, and 3-gun has kind of developed from there. I think we're going to develop it on its own, separate from Lima Charlie. It's going to be a not-for-profit from the get-go. Like I said, I've got five Marines that are trying to put this together, and so we've already got ourselves a fire team +1, right? So it's exciting.
Fire team and a supervisor.
That's right. Yeah, right. Right. So it's a good time. I'm having a lot of fun with it. Like I said, we're looking to put our first event on in October. We've got a couple of fundraiser fundraisers that are coming up. We've got a couple companies that have donated firearms and some other stuff, a combat watch and some other combat apparel that are all donated that we're going to have raffles for. Check out.
You know what you need to try to do?
What's that?
You need to try to get tickets to SHOT Show next year and
hook
a homie up.
So Lima Charlie 100% will be at SHOT Show next year, depending on how October goes.
Let me in on it.
Battle Buddy 3 gun may be in there. So
I just want to be there for the shit show.
So several of my sponsored shooters for Lima Charlie were there, and they were saying that this year, if you would have spent, I think it was about 25 seconds at each booth from opening until close every single day of SHOT Show, you could have spent 25 seconds at each booth and seen them all. That's how many booths there are at SHOT Show. It's stupid.
Nah, man, I want to go and just look at all the tactical, just keyboard warriors.
Dude, I was
because I used to live in Vegas, and just when SHOT Show was going on, and just seeing all the dorks and Denny's with like multicam, and I'm just like, oh, you need combat boots for that Grand Slam?
Yeah, dude. I was doing shirts for a shooting range, and a buddy of mine he works at, and I was dropping them off, and this guy walks in that you can tell from day one has not had a military career. Big dude, big old bushy beard to here, belly that makes my belly look like I'm your size, and he's got
What's that supposed to mean?
That I've got a lot of belly. I got a lot of belly, and this guy made me look small. And he's got on these woodland camos that are like circa 1970. Like, he's got on black boots. Like, he didn't even get to the suede boot side of the military. Like, black spit shine boots.
Don't let Noah fucking let you. You're going to be mad.
Them old guys. Them old
timers.
Yeah.
The old Corps.
And so I asked him.
Back in my Corps.
Yeah. I said, how many guys do you get coming in? He's like, every time a Scorpion rifle gets ordered, I know for a fact, 100%, this is some Halo player that sees a gun that they use on Call of Duty.
I like that ZZ Scorp though.
Call of Duty or some type of Halo game or some type of Modern Warfare that sees a gun and they order it. And he's like, dude, it's the hardest thing for me to hand over an actual weapon to these guys. He's like, I want you to tell me every time you go to the range so that I am not there. Like, that's the only way I will feel safe. So yeah, no. I mean, hey, I guess if that's what you're into, that's what you're into. But if you want to get the real deal, try fast roping down a 90-foot rope, or I didn't even get to do the high speed stuff, but even fast roping out a CH-46 is it's an adrenaline rush. So
not everybody gets that opportunity.
Yeah, man. Yeah. So if you want to do it, join. And unless I was listening to one of your podcasts on the way up here, and you had gone through like some questions that viewers had that subscribers had submitted.
Oh yeah.
And one of the questions was like, what would you tell yourself now versus like, or what would you tell yourself now that like when you were getting ready to enlist? Like,
yeah.
what would the person now say to that guy? And I was thinking, you hear all these horror stories about recruiters, and I'm not a smart guy by any means, but I have common sense, which is apparently more than most guys enlisting have.
Common sense is an uncommon trait.
Yeah. So I scored an 89 on my ASVAB, which for the Marine Corps apparently is outstanding. I've got a cousin that's a nuclear engineer in the Navy. He is a million times smarter than me. So I'm sure that it's on some kind of curve in the Marine Corps. They're like, these guys aren't going to reach the pinnacle, so let's just, give them a little help.
I think I scored like a 92.
Yeah. So you're a common sense guy. But my recruiter kept telling me, he's like, you're going to go, I want to send you on an Intel contract. And I'm like, no, Intel, that's behind a desk. Like, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And he's like, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not. And so I come to find out over this past summer or last fall when I was at Hawaii doing the Pearl Harbor dive, I was talking to some guys that were up there into the secret squirrel MOSs, and they're like, oh yeah, they're like, those guys that are like embassy duty guards at embassies in foreign countries that we're at conflict with. He's like, they're not embassy guards. Those are intel guys that just go to this that just go to these places, and on the weekends they go out and gather intel. In the evenings they go out and gather intel while they're not on duty and all this. I was like, blew my mind. I was like, so my recruiter wasn't trying to fuck me over.
Hey, let's talk about that real quick, because you and I kind of met through diving,
right?
And last December, you got to go on a pretty dope ass dive.
The absolute hands down most incredible experience, not in the water, not in diving, but period of my life.
Yeah.
Was getting to dive the USS Arizona at Pearl Harbor. Absolutely.
Yeah. How was that all organized?
So it's through an organization called I just blanked. It's through the National Park Service with the Pacific Historic Parks is the organization that pays for it. And they flew me down to Hawaii.
Hawaii.
And so they flew me down, and they took me to several events. I was there December 6th through, I think it's December 14th. And so there's a group that's there from like the 1st to the 8th as well. And so both groups overlap on December 7th. And so I got to be a part, well, not be a part, but I got to experience from the front row the Pearl Harbor ceremony at Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
And seeing the ship go by, hearing the rifle salute go off. It was impactful, man, to just be there and to look and to know that the spot that you're sitting was the heart of a combat zone, December 7th, 1941.
Well, that kicked off.
Right,
big.
Right. And so it was definitely an experience that if you ever have the opportunity or anybody asks you to go on a trip that takes you to Pearl Harbor, whether it's December 7th or not, but especially if it is over that time, please take that opportunity to go, because it was an experience like none other. I hate crowds. I absolutely hate them. That's something that has kind of come about since my wheelchair. But I hate...
And the Rona.
Yeah, and the Rona. Definitely don't want to be there right now. But yeah, it was a really cool experience. I got to do, I think 10 dives, 5 days of diving, 2 dives a day.
Nice.
And it's real cool. It's a working dive. It's not a recreational dive by any means. You're not just going and seeing.
Yeah.
You're there to work with the National Park Service. So we partnered up. We got into fire teams, and we had different missions that we were set. Some different what they call super points, measuring GPS to within 5 millimeters of where it was from last year, and these points are the exact same points that it was on last year. And so you go through that process. They teach you how to do that. You have to swim with the GPS unit above the water to your location, and then screw it on to a pole that's, just sitting there kind of, it's just stressful, but
that's some good like tech dive.
Oh yeah. It's a working dive for sure. Definitely not necessarily a MOS specific or a specific tech dive. You didn't need any, but you just had you had to be very aware of your surroundings and what you were doing and all that, because you don't want to drop that $1,000 unit into the water.
Right.
So
they would be pissed.
Yeah. So no, but it was real cool, very informative. It was great. We got to kind of got a behind the scenes backstage tour of everything.
Yeah.
We got to obviously go through the entire the history and seeing the video that they show and rolling and walking around and seeing all the different artifacts. But then we got to go backstage and we got to go to the warehouse that the Pacific Historic Parks and the National Park Service put on. And I got to actually hold a newspaper from December 7th and December 8th of 1941.
Wow.
And so to see this newspaper that reads U.S. at war with Japan and Pearl Harbor attacked by the Japanese, to hold a piece of history like that, it was very emotional. I love World War II in general. I always say that anytime anybody asks me what time period I wish I could be born in, I say the 1920s, so that way I'm old enough to enlist in the 1940s.
Yeah.
Because I think
you want to be a prohibition baby.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that generation of men is something that every generation following should emulate, because
I look at that too, but at the same time, it was like you had guys going overseas that, I mean, you know what the most decorated military regiment is in the history of the U.S. military? Mm-mm. It's the 442nd, and it was the all-Japanese regiment that they sent to like Italy and Germany during World War II.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's a really good book called Just Americans, and it was about these Japanese American soldiers that got sent over into Europe. Meanwhile, back home, all their property was getting seized and everything.
Yeah.
So like when they say greatest generation, I get it. Like they stepped up and did a lot of things, but we also could have done a lot of things better.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I don't, I wholeheartedly believe that the United States is the greatest country that has ever been, and I don't want to say ever will be, but so far has ever been, and is now. But by no means do I think we've been perfect through that. And that's something that I've talked to a foreign exchange student that grew up in Germany, was German. And they tell us, we weren't really taught about World War II. Basically, it was said a lot of bad stuff was done, and we've learned and we've grown and we're a better country for it, and that's about it. And I'm like, that's your version of World War II, because my version was a lot different. That being said, and I'm sure you're probably even more in tune with it than I am, but Asian Americans and what they were subjected to, I wish there was a little bit more emphasized on that, and not as much, and people just understood that, hey, we did a lot of really good things during the war, but there were definitely things that we should have and could have done better. And unfortunately, I don't think that I don't think that we learned from that.
To what extent did you learn about the Native Americans and American expansion during like the 1800s?
I mean, just that we basically took their land and gave them beads for it, and that was about the Cliff Notes version of what I learned. But I mean, where you're going with this, I completely, I know.
There was a slaughterhouse.
Yeah.
And we can get into it another time. But one thing that I've learned, man, is like our country isn't always on the right side. And do we benefit from exploitation and all that? Sure. And
Yes.
and that's how the first world works, is you need to exploit the third world.
But would you agree that it can weighing the good and the bad, you put it on the scale of justice? Would you still agree that the U.S. is the most free country to ever exist?
Man, that's real subjective, because I think like freedom's kind of an illusion, where we feel like we have a lot of freedoms, and we do have a lot of freedoms as far as what we can say and what we can publish.
Right.
But when it comes down to freedom, like, we don't even have the freedom to smoke a plant that is completely harmless.
Right.
And it might make you sleepy.
Right.
We don't have the freedom to even collect rainwater that's dripping off of our roof. Like, that's illegal in a lot of states, is rain collecting. Yeah.
So, but that being said, would you say that there's another country that better portrays, better allows their citizens to have more, not that it's complete freedom, but that the freedom to do these things? Is there a country that allows more?
You know what makes the only reason that I'm staying here is, and some of the guys that have, or some of the listeners, not guys and gals, some of the listeners that listen to the podcast on the YouTube, on the visual, is they see that my laptop has a giant sticker that says public landowner.
Yeah.
People always ask me what that means. And I tell them that, like, the greatest thing that this country has going for it is that we have these designated public lands. And what that means is nobody owns it. It's public land. It's owned by anyone that pays their taxes.
Right.
And collectively we decide, hey, we're going to use this public land for timber, or we're going to let it sit and cultivate and let all sorts of wildlife flourish. But nobody owns it. And it's really hard to find a country that has that kind of business model. And you might not notice it out towards this side of the country, but when you get out towards the west side of the country, you realize, holy shit, like, Oregon is 60% public land. Washington is something like 55.
Yeah.
Like Utah. I mean, the majority.
The Northwest.
Yeah, the majority of it is just all just public land, and it's all we own.
Yeah.
But a big state like Texas, which is the biggest state in the U.S., I think only 2% of it's public. I think that's just where we've gone wrong. Was just we've privatized everything. Yeah. Where we just didn't realize.
Yeah. No.
Our greatest resource is how much land we have.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, like I said, the public landowner and all that. Yeah. I didn't know that. Didn't know about some of those facts, but I'm just saying, as a whole, in general, if you take the freedoms that we're allowed, the fact that we actually have a constitution that says that lists what our freedoms are, I feel like, including all the amendments, it is that we are still the most free country that has ever existed to this point. I think that there are a lot of things that could be done better, and I'm not saying I know the solution to any of these, or some, like, I don't know, but I'm still, when I see that American flag wave, it makes me proud.
For sure.
I make sure that,
but can we improve on things?
100%. Yeah, no. I mean, I don't think that we're even close to perfect. I think there's a lot of things that, in my opinion, should change. But I like the fact that I'm allowed to have my opinion, and you're allowed to have your opinion, and she's allowed to have her opinion, and so on and so on and so on. But I think we need to come together in the sense that we need to talk more we need to talk to each other, not talk at each other. And conversations can't be had anymore. You're either extreme left or extreme right. I did that backwards. Extreme left or extreme right. There's nothing in the middle, man. And we need to find common ground, and we don't have to. That's one thing I love about Lifewaters, where we met.
Yeah.
There's people there that have, if we talked about anything other than diving and our love of diving, we would probably be on complete opposite sides.
Probably.
But because there's something that we have in common, we're able to have those. I'm able to have those conversations because we have conversations and we respect each other, and the fact that, hey, you're allowed your opinion. I just don't agree with it, but you're allowed your opinion. And that's something that I don't think a lot of places in this world you can do, is just openly have your own opinion.
Well, it's funny because let's say you and I are sitting in this room together. Let's say we're the only two people on Earth. We're probably not going to fight.
Right.
Let's double that. Now we got 4. We're still probably not going to fight. Let's bring it a bigger picture, 24 people. We're going to be all right with each other. Now we go 48, and it's like, ooh, we might have some riff. keep doubling it.
Right.
And now we have way too many people.
Right.
And now all of a sudden there's world wars.
Population control is huge. You guys talked about Thanos in a previous podcast.
You know what my biggest solution is? Man, maybe this coronavirus thing, like we keep shaving off the bottom 2 annually.
When I was listening to podcast 45 with you and Noah and somebody, Curry.
Yeah, Ryan Curry.
Yeah, you guys were talking about the coronavirus and how that could be a hey, maybe that's our Black Plague.
Just keep shaving off the bottom 2, and the only issue with that, man, is things are going to collapse, and the top 1% is always going to survive. And it's until we can just make it straight up even.
The top,
and that's why I support Thanos 2020, because he was like, hey, 50% of y'all are just going to disappear. There's no...
Has OM come out with a Thanos 2020 shirt?
Lima Charlie should.
I was going to say, let's get together. Let's create a Thanos 2020 because, yeah, man.
He had some good ideas. It might have been radical, but he had a point.
Hey, I'm down to rock, paper, scissors for where I fall in that percentage group.
Dude, I'm just down for a coin flip.
Yeah.
I'm down. I'm so down. Like, if we flip a coin, half of us disappear.
Yeah.
I'll take my chances if it
100%.
If it means longevity for the overall.
Right. I know at some point it's going to affect one of my friends or family members, and they're going to have a better life because of it. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Thanos 2020. Let's
Thanos 2020. Hey, that's my Crippled turn 46. We're going to end it on that.
Let's do it.